Hello. Can I use my rubber stamps to make a mould? I'm going to use some re-mouldable clay and a polymer stamp.
I want to carry on using some stamps. I've got this little polymer stamp and it's a butterfly. And this is heat re-mouldable clay. So I think it's called Oyamaru. I don't know if that's the name, the brand name, or the name of the clay. But Daniel Cooper showed that you can use this for moulds, for making moulds. And then when you finish with it, you just reheat it and reuse it. So I'm going to use some of this. I will link that in the description box below if I can find it. So I'm just going to use my heat gun to heat this up. And it gets pretty hot. They say to use water. I don't really want to add water because resin and water don't really mix. So I'm just going to pop my butterfly on there. And I've got this stamping plate. So I'm going to use that to squeeze that in and try and get a flat surface. I'm just going to let that sit for a minute so that this clay can re-harden. Okay, while I'm waiting for that to harden, I've got it's a curtain ring that I'm no longer going to use. So I'm just opening out the little hook thing, removing that, and then I will be able to use this as a bezel. So I'm just going to, I can still feel that's pretty warm, so I'm going to leave that a little bit longer. All right, let's see if I can take this out now. So I'm going to peel off the clay and then make sure that it's flat. And it is still a little bit warm. If you can put your finger in it and dent it, then I'm going to leave that. It's still too warm. If I try and remove the butterfly now, I'm going to distort the shape and ruin the mould. Once you can't poke your fingers in it and leave any indents, then you can take your stamp out. Okay, I think it might be all right now. So I'm just going to pull my butterfly out. Make sure that sits down in there. You can get a really good impression. I just want this to be flat to the bottom, but I don't want to press it too hard in case it's still a little soft. Right, I'm going to use some mica powder. It's like an interference mica powder. So let me scoop some into my lid here. And now I'm going to brush that into the butterfly. Okay, that looks pretty well coated. Now these work best if you use a black background, but I'm using a UV resin. So I'm going to put that in there first, just a thin layer, or pretty thin anyway, just enough to coat the bottom there. And then I will set that. I think I'll use an acrylic pen just to coat the back, black acrylic pen to paint it, and then I can add another layer of resin. So I've got some bubbles in there. I don't want to use a heat gun because obviously that will melt my mould. So I just want to get the ones that are actually trapped at the bottom. Some of them may well be glitter that's in my clay because I've used this multiple times, this clay. Right, I'm going to really give this a very, very brief torch. Just enough to pop those bubbles that are on the surface. Okay, now I'm going to cure that. I'll do it for 150 seconds. There it is. I'm going to pop that out. There we go. So, oops. Obviously it looks amazing on black and looks pretty good on pink. Okay, so I've got my butterfly and I've also got a curtain ring. So I want to put the butterfly in here. It's too big to actually go inside, so I'm just going to be able to sort of sit it on top and its wings touch side to side. First I want to colour this butterfly in on the back, so I've turned it over onto the back and I'm just using an acrylic paint pen, black, and I will give this a coat of paint. Might need a couple of coats, although it's coming out pretty good. Sorry, excuse that noise. Right. Need to leave that now to dry. I'm just going to put that up there. In the meantime, I need to pop this onto a bezel tape. So I've got one here. Chop a piece off. And then I can get off my fingers. Right, so I've got my ring there. And that should be secure. Let me just fold these corners in so that I can touch this without having it stick to my fingers all the time. There we go. Right, now I've got to decide what I want to do with this. I've still got some pink knocking about, which I think I might use because that will showcase that blue. So I'm going to put some plain resin in there and manoeuvre that around. Because it is a ring, curtain ring, it's rounded, so I'm just going to get my silicone tool under there to make sure that there are no bubbles hidden. Okay, let's give that a little. Okay, now I'm going to add some blobs of the pink resin. And then I am going to just start stirring. Okay, so I've cured that on the top. I'm just going to flip that over and cure it again from the back. I'm going to pick up a little bit of this interference powder on my silicone tool. Probably a bit more than that actually. And just drop that into the middle of there. And I've got just a little tiny bit of iridescent glitter. Now I can put some more resin in there, just clear resin now. And I'm going to mix that in as I go. Swirl that around. Okay, and I'm going to let that just sit for a minute. Give it another pop in case any of those are bubbles. And then I'm curing that. That's cured. Now that's still a little bit wet, but it's not too bad. I can see if that will sit on there quite happily, which it will. So I'm going to grab some more resin. Put a blob in there. Try and get rid of those bubbles. I don't want too much in here now because I don't want it to spread out over the side once I put that butterfly in. Just want to secure it in place. And now I want the butterfly kind of in the middle. This is quite opaque now, so I'm going to have to flip it over once I've cured this side and cure it from the back as well. Okay, I've done the back. I'm just going to finish topping up the front here. Just make sure that's actually embedded properly. Okay, so I can peel the backing off now. I've got a little bit of overspill there. Peel that off. Right, so I want to put something on the butterfly. So I'm going to maybe use some of this pink again. Just pick out some of these little, well, whatever they are, spots. I'm just using my dotting tool. Right, and we'll add a little bit more bling. So I've got this rhinestone ribbon. And I think I'm going to add 3. So I'm just going to cut 3 off. It's a self-adhesive. So I'm just going to take those off. Try and use my fingers with my gloves. Don't know that that's a good idea. Let me grab some tweezers. Try and get hold of it in my tweezers. Okay. Just put 3 down the middle. Now, they are sticky. It's like a kind of a gel, a thick gel. So it's going to remain pretty sticky. So I'm just going to take some of this glitter and just want to pop this onto a piece of parchment. And I'm going to cover that in a glitter. Just find my brush for a minute. I'm just going to push that into the edges. And then hopefully that glitter will stick to any of the raw glue edges and prevent it from being sticky. Tap off the excess. Brush away. Okay, I've brought my mould back, so I'm just going to sit that in it because I think I'm going to try and put some laser powder behind it. So I'm going to put a layer, very thin layer, of resin. Just coat the back. Let that sit for a minute while I clean my hand off. I'm going to flash cure that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's have a look at that. Okay, I'm just going to use this really fuzzy brush and drop a little bit on. Just make sure I cover all of the back. Okay, and then I'm going to put it back underneath the lamp. Okay, I'm just going to seal that in one more time. That on the back. I'm going to use my finger again. Right, so I'm just going to put a bail on the back here, and I'm going to use the UV bonding resin to do that. Pop a little bit on the bail. Oop. And lay that in place. Just use my torch to see if I can get that to sit. Hopefully there's enough light getting underneath there. I'll cure it from the other side in a minute. The laser powder it's a thin layer, so it's pretty much see-through. There's enough gaps in it. Okay, there you go. I think it would make a really nice bag charm. I just like the fact that I can use a stamp to create a mould, and I can keep this for as long as I like. And actually, once I've made my butterfly, I can, if I make it out of epoxy resin, not UV resin, I can use that to create a silicone mould. So I will keep this, probably do that, put some epoxy resin in there just to create my master, and then I'll be able to make as many of these butterflies as I like. And this is another one that I did. I used a foliage stamp. So yeah, I think they're really cute. I recommend this clay. It's a brilliant thing, especially if you only want a temporary mould. Let me know what you think. If you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. Thank you very much to all my subscribers. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. It's free. You just click the subscribe button down below under the video. And come back and see what I'm going to make next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.